enforcement stuff and contracting. I know this is the tedious part, but it's super important. And Taylor and Melissa and Ira are going to give you a lot of really good information. So I hope you will all, I think, listen. I think you will, and then also ask some really good questions. We will be having some payment policies coming out in the next couple weeks to help guide you a little bit more. But I think this will be a great start for everyone, and also to meet other folks who are potentially doing work similar to yours, or who you can, share information with. So with that, I think, Melissa, you're the first to go.
Did you want to introduce the trust members, or you just want me to jump into the contract?
No, I guess I could do that. It's fine. Sorry, I've already had 2 hours worth of meetings this morning. Okay, so that's Melissa. Melissa is our lovely opioid attorney. You've all probably heard from her already. Melissa now technically actually does work for DBHTD, but we are her only client. As I mentioned, I am the executive director. Taylor Payton, Wave Taylor, is our fabulous assistant director. Taylor and Melissa have been here slightly longer than me. We also have Jeff Holliday, who's our opioid abatement coordinator. I'm not entirely sure where he is in all this.
Hello, everyone.
Do I hear him? No?
Hey.
Okay. There he is. I hear him. Let's see. We also have our fabulous, Jeff also just joined us in October, I think it was. And then of course we have Ira, Galen, and Haley, who are our fabulous programmatic officers. Ira is one of our OGs. Galen is an OG DBHTD employee. She's been here for about 15 years, and so she knows a lot. And then Haley is one of our newest programmatic officers. She just joined us a couple weeks ago, and then we anticipate bringing in a new programmatic officer at the beginning of March. So we're going to have some amazing staff who will get you all situated and get all your payments moved forward, review your programmatic reports, and they are your first line of defense when it comes to questions. So please reach out to them. They should have reached out to you already to let you know who they are, how to reach them, and they are very accessible for any questions you might have. And now I think I could turn it over to Melissa.
Yes, good morning, everybody. Thank you for the introduction, Holly, even though I had to make you do it. It's how we roll around here. You're eager to get to the real work, and I appreciate that. Pardon my voice. I am under the weather and under the influence of over-the-counter cold medicine. So, I have been involved from the beginning, not only in the grant process, but what matters for today is oh, I hear a terrible echo, and I don't know what to do on my end to stop that. It appears
I don't hear it now.
Unmute yourself, Melissa. Go ahead.
Okay. We'll see if that works. I don't know if I muted myself, but all right. So more important for today is that I was the person, along with some helpers in the legal office, who wrote the contract that y'all were all sent during January. Most of you have executed your contracts with the Georgia Opioid Crisis Abatement Trust, but I'm gonna go over the highlights of that contract. Even if you have not, even if you weren't the person that read and negotiated that contract from the beginning, or if you're still going through it, this will be helpful to you. So if you are the person managing this contract, go ahead and pull out and read that contract. It is 31 sections long, roughly 22 pages. That is the main contract document. Review and read it in its entirety, because you will be held, and we will be held as the trust to all of those contract provisions. It requires not only that your the CEO or the executive director, whoever has authority for your organization has to sign it. But also, we need proof that the person having authority to sign it actually has authority to sign it. And so you'll notice there's a lot of steps to get to a fully executed contract that requires the signature with an attestation, along with, if you're a governmental entity, you can supply minutes as recorded in your official minutes, or a governing body action, or a corporate resolution from your corporate body. And we need to make sure that we are dealing with someone that actually has the authority to enter that contract. So that's the contract needs to be signed. It needs to be attested to and notarized, corporate seal if you have a corporate seal, and then the board resolution or the governmental entity public meeting minutes. Also, we require a signature on one version of Annex B. And then, of course, we do provide an example of that reporting requirements for under Attachment A. Now, Annex A and Annex B. Annex A is the part of the contract that really gets into the specifics of what your organization is doing for the trust. So that is where the programmatic officer went into your grant application, pulled out the deliverables, indicated what those deliverables are along with timeframes. They've added the site locations, and they've also indicated if particular items require prior approval from the trust. This is a reimbursement contract model where you provide the services, then you provide the documentation that certain monies were spent on what and where, and then the trust reimbursed you. But as we'll get into in further detail, certain items, before you spend the money, we need to give you explicit permission that the way you're spending the money is exactly what we are expecting. And that just helps everybody get along better. Exhibit Annex B is the immigration compliance. And I believe we have another slide that goes into that in more detail. If not, I'll catch up on it. And then the reporting attachment 1 covers all of the questions that are in our grant management system, GMS, that you are required to answer on a quarterly basis in order to continue receiving reimbursement for your expenditures. So as you know, you get to choose monthly or quarterly invoicing and reporting. The monthly goes through email to your programmatic officers. The quarterly is through GMS, but that quarterly report, the reason it's so important and that monthly reporting entities have to go back and do the quarterly report through GMS is that's where we get all of our data from. That was the official plan when we started, was to use the quarterly reporting, and all of that data is how we compile our successes or areas where we need improvement as we spend these funds. And so you have to do the quarterly reports through GMS, even if you're doing the monthly reports via email with your programmatic officers. And you'll notice that reporting attachment has questions that relate to every single approved category that's allowed under the abatement. You will only be expected to answer the questions and will only be asked to answer the questions that go along with your core strategy and approved use. Right. Moving on. And so the contract provisions, these are highlights that, again, I hope you'll read the contract in full and let me know if you have any questions. But notice in paragraph 2, subcontracting and assignment are prohibited. We looked at your governing documents, your organizational documents as part of your application to the trust. We also looked at your financials and related organizational structure. So if you are assigning services to an entity that's not yourself, you're subcontracting with an organization to provide services, that is not allowed unless you get express permission under the contract. Okay, so it's different. If you're going out and getting supplies from Walmart or Staples, that's getting supplies. If you're working with an entity that's providing services toward the deliverables under your contract, you need to get specific permission to do that. We are not unreasonable on that. But you do need permission. We don't want you as the grantee, as the entity that we looked into and awarded this grant to just pick somebody that we haven't been introduced to and ask them to complete your contract. And then of course there's all sorts of partial assignments that could happen within that. So work with your programmatic officer if you think that's coming up. Then go ahead and let them know, and we can add that. If you haven't signed your contract yet, we can add that to Annex A. But if you've already executed your contract and you haven't told your programmatic officer that you need a subcontractor or an assignment, go ahead and let them know. It's not the end of the world. We will do a simple contract amendment and add that approved subcontractor to your contract. All right, moving on. The contract term is either 12 months or 24 months. So they all started February 1st and will end either January 31st of 27 or of 28, depending on whether you were awarded a 1 or 2 year contract. And I see we have a question related to what I just talked about. If a partner is included in the improved contract, is that okay? And so there's a couple of ways we've handled this. So if a partner was included in your approved application, that is not okay. It needs to be in black and white somewhere in your contract documents. Now, what we have done, and Beverly, I don't recognize your name in particular or who you're with, but there have been a couple of instances where we have contracted with 2 entities at once. But bottom line, it is okay as long as you can look in black and white to your main contract document or Annex A or an amendment and go, there's my subcontractor or there is my partner. It needs to be in writing and something that we have signed off on that's part of those contract documents. And I see a TS with a question. Sorry, I don't have your full name.
I think that may be me. Hey,
Yes.
and I think you may have answered it. So in ours on Annex A, it is worded, the contract is not executed yet, but it is worded, a grant consultant to manage the reporting, right? So that's in writing, that's in there, but the name of the people are not in there. So does that make a difference?
Yes, we want the name. We need the name of the individuals or the entity in that Annex A. And so I would just write back to your programmatic officer saying we need to add the identity of these individuals. It probably was that we didn't know that from the application or didn't get pulled over. So we want to specify.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you. And then, so it also has in that same section that we're gonna, a staff member. So, which doesn't have a name either. So
employees are fine.
Okay.
Because employees are your original organization.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And so if you're looking for how long your contract is, that's in section 7. And then I don't think this is really an issue this year, but we are not approving expenses that were incurred prior to February 1st. So if you started spending money in anticipation of your grant starting, that is not reimbursable. And and we've made clear about that in prior communications, but your expenses that can be reimbursed start February 1st. And I see we keep getting questions. Let's get to the end of the legal part and I will go back. So keep your hand up. Thank you. Okay, the contract provisions that require prior approval. So I mentioned that earlier, that normally, you would go ahead and go out and hire your peer to provide peer services or work on purchasing your naloxone or your prevention material. Well, prevention materials fall into this. So what if you're doing one of these items that require prior approval? You will look in section 6. That those are the contract provisions that say this is normally a reimbursement contract. However, these 3 items require prior approval before you even spend your money expecting reimbursement. And that is, these are just areas that we view as higher risk. And we need to make sure we're all on the same page before you spend the money and then expect reimbursement from the trust. These are prevention campaigns that are not already in use. So I think about certain campaigns have been around DBHDD for years and years and years and have been going on, and maybe the trust is providing an extension of that program. That is not what we're talking about here. But if you're doing a prevention campaign and those materials have not been out before, we need to see those materials and expressly approve them. We do not want you to incur, and it's really just a risk factor. We do not want your organization to incur expenses related to having materials or workbooks or curriculum printed to be handed out to the public, and then when we see what's in it, we are disappointed in the content, or our clinical staff see something that's missing or incorrect in the content, and then we don't want to reimburse you for it because it wasn't clinically appropriate. So for that reason, get them approved, get all of those prevention campaigns approved ahead of time before you're spending money having anything printed or prepared for your programs, and then we'll all be on the same page and reimbursement will flow a lot better. Plus, we need to see that the sponsored by the Georgia Opioid Crisis Abatement Trust language and logo is on those materials. Media campaigns, the same way. You've got a PSA, you've got a radio spot. We need to know the content and approve that, because it should be, and you'll see that publicity is handled in your contract as well. It's required that if the trust is helping sponsor this program, that it says it's sponsored by the trust, and therefore we need to all be on the same page as to the content of what's going out in these media campaigns. I don't think we're too picky. We are very reasonable, but we want to be sure we're all on the same page before, again, the risk of you incurring the expense, and then we end up in a position where the trust did not approve of what you put out there. So go ahead and work with your programmatic officer if that is included. And then look in Annex A. Your programmatic officer reviewed the deliverables in your application and then checked the box, yes or no, on Annex A, whether we believe you need to come to us for prior approval. I'm not saying we're 100% correct in every instance, but look at Annex A and it will specify whether we believe you have a prevention campaign, a media campaign, or a vehicle purchase that needs to be pre-approved by the trust before you spend funds. And then the same thing with a vehicle purchase. we're thrilled to get some of these mobile units out on the road, whether it's supporting recovery with wraparound services or providing MAT or whatever the case may be. However, we want to be sure that you aren't purchasing some luxury vehicle that way exceeds the needs of what's required for the trust. We have to be good stewards of these funds. So if you will work wherever you're going to purchase the vehicle or lease the vehicle, go ahead and get the purchase order, get the VIN number, get the description, send that to your programmatic officer. They'll approve it. And then you can go ahead and complete your purchase. And that you will have to give a heads up to whatever the dealership is, the car seller, usually van seller, to let them know that it will take a little bit of time because you have to get it approved. But we have been very successful in having these purchases get approved and completely resolved in the prior contract year. So we're happy to do this. Definitely get it approved because we don't want to deal with the bad publicity of a contractor buying something super ultra fancy that generates bad press for the trust. All right, next one. Keep in mind that you have an affirmative duty, because I've just highlighted the potential that bad publicity is generated. First of all, we're all here because we care about abating and fixing this opioid crisis and helping people who are impacted by the crisis, helping Georgians get healthier. We all have in our hearts the desire to make this better. That means that we want to be above board, good stewards of the funds, properly using all of the money that we have available to us to do the right thing for Georgia and for public health. So and these funds are closely watched. We want to be above board because it's the right thing to do, and because we want to have those answers if anyone comes asking, why did you do this? And for that reason, and for other reasons, we have this affirmative duty to report to the trust. And this is in the contract. But basically, if any of your contractors or your key personnel officers or board members are involved in these actions that I'm about to go through, you need to report it to your programmatic officer. And the way to protect yourself is just put it in an email. And this is whether it's a suspicion that something is going on or something has gone on. But if someone in a decision-making role has been accused of or has actually violated a law or regulation, let us know. The same thing if they've been excluded from Medicare or Medicaid, or their provider enrollment number is terminated with Medicare or Medicaid, or if there is a reasonable suspicion that information you've already provided to the trust or our agents was fraudulent or misleading. So we have done, as part of our due diligence, we've had the DBHTD audits team conduct audits of a handful of our contractors from the first round of contracting. So that would be like our agent. Obviously, the employees of the trust that you've all been introduced to are the trust themselves. But if you find out that an employee submitted an invoice for something they never should have submitted an invoice for to the trust, let us know. It's not the end of the world, especially if you're reporting it to us. Hey, we discovered this. It fell through the cracks. Let's talk about how we're going to rectify this situation. That is much better than discovering something that never should have been turned in, months down the road. And the same thing is for all of these. A suspicion or an investigation by law enforcement into your board members or an executive director, we need to know about that sooner rather than later. And if it's a suspicion, you don't know for sure that it's happened or it's just an allegation, report it as an allegation. And we will work together to figure out how we're going to get through that in between time where we don't know what's really happened. So we will take reasonable action. We expect the organization to take reasonable action, but we need to know before the AJC comes knocking on our door and asking why we haven't, what we're planning to do about something that's going to sound horrible in the media. And again, it's because we're trying to use the funds in the right way to do the right thing. Okay. And then the next slide continues these duties to report. If you're discovering that you're going to sell more than 50% of your assets, the ownership is going to change. If you're going to terminate or replace key personnel, or if you find out that you are under or will be under a corrective action plan by any state or federal agency that has authority over your contracts. So the reason for the first one, again, like I stated from the beginning, we did our due diligence with the original applicant and the financial statements, and we know who we're contracting with. And if your organization is wildly changing its board membership or selling its assets to another entity, we need to know that. Again, not necessarily any reason for anything different to happen under the contract, but we would probably ask for those financials of the new entity that's going to own more than 50%. Same thing with replacement of key personnel. We need to know who we're working with. And I think, having a corrective action plan, same thing. We need to know that you've been asked to undertake that. We would like to see what it entails and see if it's something that we need to work on ourselves, not necessarily a contract ending situation, especially if we know about it up front and y'all are being forthcoming with the information. And just report all of this via email to your programmatic officer so you have written proof that you've reported it. All right. So the reporting is either quarterly or monthly, depending on what you select in that paragraph 5 of your contract. You get to check the box as to which one you wish to do. I've said monthly reporting happens via email with your programmatic officer. They will email you what you need to provide on that front. It's not something you have to make up. And then the quarterly takes place through our GMS system, and Taylor's going to go into that in detail. We have to have the programmatic report in order to approve the financial reimbursement. So the programmatic report, you provide the invoice with all the supporting documentation, but we have to have those that go together in order to reimburse. Also, do not include any PHI in your monthly or quarterly reports. If you think we have designed this system not to be compliant with HIPAA, we have not added that layer of protection because we never expect any PHI to hit the system. So if you think that any of our questions have requested or you think you're going to provide PHI as a result of what we're asking, stop, check in with your programmatic officer and figure out what we're really asking you, because we are not trying to get PHI into this system in any way, shape, or form. Okay. And now I'm handing it over to Taylor.
All right. Again, my name is Taylor
Oh, wait.
Payton.
I'm sorry,
sorry.
Taylor. I told them to hold their legal questions to the end of the legal
Oh, yeah. Let's take care of those.
section.
Go for it.
Okay. KS
Just introduce yourself.
Hi, this is actually Paula Mounts. I'm with Divergent Recovery Center, but I'm sitting in with Keela Stevens for DM and
Okay.
ADR. But I have a question about the actual getting the contractors. If we are actually sending people out to get services done and they send me an invoice, how does that work? Do you have to get permission to work with that particular company or that particular, person that you're sending them out to work with?
I'm not certain that I understand.
Would this be concerning like an individual therapist or an,
Yes.
for an
I'm
individual
sorry.
therapist? No worries.
Yes. So if I were sending a peer out to work with a therapist, would I have to let you guys, and they're invoicing Divergent
Mm.
for their services? How would that work?
That does not feel like it requires prior approval to be the way I understand it right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good deal. Thank you.
You're welcome. Jeff, do you see anybody else right now?
No other questions right now.
All
Did anybody
right.
else have any other legal questions before we move on to Taylor? Hearing none, seeing none. All right.
All right. Thanks, Taylor. Thanks, Jeff.
All right. Awesome. So we are now getting into the grant management system, as well as kind of the protocols for actually submitting reimbursement, project reports, and budget amendments. But to begin, so what is GMS? GMS stands for Grant Management System. You're going to hear us call it GMS. This is where you'll access this through the gaopioidtrust.org website. So the exact same website you entered your application, that is where you'll be submitting all of your invoices, budget amendments, and your quarterly project reports. This is also where you'll be entering all of your point of contact information, and I'll show you exactly where that's held later. So who can use GMS? Any individual that is working in your organization on this project has the autonomy to use the GMS system. Please just keep in mind, for each organization, there is only one login and one password available per organization. So if you have a number of people working in the portal for reporting, reimbursement, and budget amendments, they should all be using the same password and the same login. If when you initially created that login and password, it was specific to an individual and you would like that change to be something more general to the organization, I can do that for you. Just please reach out to me. Additionally, programmatic officers will be within the GMS system looking for your programmatic reports, budget requests, and budget amendments. They have the autonomy to approve, deny, or request more information for any of these verticals. So the basic functions of GMS, I did kind of go over that in the first slide, but again, this is where you'll see both a for applicants tab and once you finalize your contract in the for awardees tab. So within the for applicants tab, this will be all of pending applications, so applications that have not yet been approved. In the profile section, this is where you'll put the point of contact information. The organization management section is where the information of all employees who will be utilizing the system will be entered, and the organization profile, and this will be information pertinent to the organization itself. The for awardees tab, again, that will be generated post-contract finalization by your programmatic officer. This is where you'll enter payment requests, budget amendments, and quarterly reports. So reporting, sorry to be redundant, but this does occur on a monthly or quarterly basis, dependent on what you put into your contract. If you do not recall entering anything, please reach out to your programmatic officer so they can get that squared away and know the expectations of you moving forward. So monthly reports are generated outside of the GMS system. The GMS system only has capacity for your quarterly reports. So if you did sign up for quarterly reimbursement and reporting, your programmatic officer will provide you a template for that monthly report, and you'll send it to them via email every month. Quarterly reports are done and completed within the GMS system. Even if you are on a monthly reimbursement and reporting schedule, you still need to do your quarterly reports within GMS. These quarterly reports should encapsulate all months within that quarter. So each report is due 1 month after the end of each quarter. Same for monthly reporting, due 30 days after the end of each month. But just keep in mind, we cannot approve any corresponding payment requests unless you have submitted a report. If you do not submit your quarterly report within the GMS system by the due date, you will fall into noncompliance and receive an email that you are now in noncompliance. You will not, if you do fall into noncompliance, you will not have the ability to bill for that quarter or any quarter beyond. If you do fall into noncompliance, just reach out to your programmatic officer. They can take that hold off for you, and you can submit your programmatic report. Again, your reporting questions are going to be based upon your project subcategory. The milestone portion of the reporting, these are going to be based on the deliverables that you entered into your application. So there's a milestone per deliverable that you entered. And once again, the programmatic officer has the ability to accept, deny, or request any additional information for any report. I do intend to show you as much as I can in the GMS system about how everything works, but I am having some issues with it, particularly showing you how to enter a report. So I did want to show you what the general questions are going to look like. So these 1 through 9 that you're going to see here on the left side, that is going to be for every category. Regardless of what category you apply to, you'll have to answer these 9 questions. On the side, you'll see the table. These are the questions that are going to be asked pertinent to the subcategory that you applied for. So this subcategory, these questions are pertinent to prevention and for media campaigns. So again, these 9 questions will be asked in every report, regardless of project category. And these questions here will be dependent on the subcategory in which you applied. Okay, billing. Again, this is going to occur on a quarterly or monthly basis, dependent on what you signed up for in your contract. Now, billing on a monthly basis should only occur in the GMS system. Even though it only can accept quarterly reports, it can accept monthly billing. So please do all of your billing within the GMS system. So you can only receive reimbursement for the line items within your contract. Anything that is written into those line item descriptions, all of those items, that is what is approved. You should not be billing for anything else. You have to provide corresponding documentation for all reimbursement requests that match the total that you are requesting reimbursement for. And acceptable documentation includes bid evaluations, contract and purchase orders, invoices, non-competitive procurement justification or a sole source letter, payroll registers, proof of payments, and itemized receipt. Please keep in mind that all receipts that you submit need to be itemized. I need to be able to tell what you bought. If it's just a receipt from Walmart, but I cannot tell what the items are, I'm going to send that back and ask for more information. If travel is approved in your application, your travel rates such as your mileage, your meals, and your hotels, those should fall in line with the general service administration rates. If you're unsure what those are, please look those up. Proof of payment dates must be within the payment period. You can submit payments for up to 45 days after their initial purchase date. After that initial purchase date has reached 45 days, those will no longer be accepted. Line item totals should match the total in the proof of payment submitted. This might seem obvious, but if you enter $3,000 for one line item for reimbursement, you should be submitting $3,000 worth of receipts. I should be able to tell what was purchased with that $3,000 and where it was purchased. Again, proof of payment should only be submitted for approved purchases. I should not see proof of payment receipts for anything that was not approved or articulately written out in your line items. No proof of payment can be submitted more than once unless there's a valid reason that's specified in the description. So I won't be able to show you this because I'm having some issues with GMS, but I will send some videos out afterwards. There is a description box for every line item that you submit reimbursement for. if I cannot necessarily tell what you're buying through your proof of payment, if you're splitting payments up for one item between line items, please be as specific as possible in that description so I can tell exactly what's going on, so I don't have any questions or confusion. The more I understand, the more descriptive you are, the better your proof of payment is, the faster your invoices will get approved, and the faster that you will receive your payment. So budget amendments, I'm sure a lot of us have questions about this. I know a lot of you did receive partial funding this time around, but budget amendments do also occur in our GMS system. So if you did not get approved for full funding, or you need to make some changes to your line items, please wait until your contract is fully executed. You have that for awardees tab, and then you can finalize your budget amendments. So again, budget amendments are done to reallocate funds between existing line items. We do not approve budget amendments for new line items or new purchases. These must be already approved purchases. Changing scope of work. This is done within the negotiation phase with your programmatic officer. So if you need to adjust your deliverables because you only receive partial funding, please talk about that with your programmatic officer concerning your Annex A. Okay. I am going to do my best to walk you guys through this system. Again, it's the test environment that I have is not working in totality, so I won't be able to show you everything, but there are corresponding videos that show you all the steps of everything I'm about to show you, so please do not fret. But to begin, this is the For Applicants tab. Like I said, profile here. Of course, it's going to take its time. Profile is where you're going to enter all the information for the very specific point of contact, the person that will receive automatically generated emails from the system, the person your programmatic officer looks to in your profile to contact. So this is what we see when we're looking who to contact for you concerning your application. So you'll see here, there's a first name, last name, and there's an email. If there's more than one person in one email that you want, sorry, I'm a little sick as well. And you want within this section, you can add a semicolon next to the initial email and add another, or as many as you'd like. However, the system is only set up to send automatic emails to this very first email here. So just keep that in mind. Post getting the award, the only automatic email you'll really receive is that if you fall into non-compliance. So if there is an individual that you want to get that non-compliance email, just make sure they're the first email listed in your profile section. Organization management, that's going to be where you'll enter all of the information for all other employees who will be working in the system. So for each individual that'll be working in the system related to budget requests, budget amendments, or reports, they should be listed here. For each person, you can press create and enter their information as needed. Just keep in mind as well, if there is an email that is listed within this organization management, you will get an error if you also try to add it to that profile section. So the email can only exist either in the profile section or the organization management section, but not both. Organizational profile is where all of the information corresponding to the organization itself will live, such as the address, TIN, and phone number. These are going to be probably the most important things for us to have on file. Now, we'll go to the For Awardees tab. This again will only be generated post-contract finalization. So here you can see all of your approved projects. And let's start with the budget amendment. This was working this morning, so hopefully it'll work now. So we're in budget amendments. You see that I have 2 in progress. That means I started these, but I did not submit them. This is where all the filters will live. So if you ever want to filter it to in progress, budget amendments, canceled, approved, or submitted, you can use this filter here. Well, if we want to submit a new one, we'll press create. We'll select the project we would like to make a budget amendment for. Press submit. Oh, good, this one's working. So within my proposal, I said I was going to hire 3 peers at $40,000 a year. So let's say I only was able to get 2.5 peers. So I need to take out, I plan to take out some money from here and put it into my media campaign so that I can have a better reach. Again, there's going to be a justification box for all budget amendments you do. The more detailed you are in this justification box, the more that I can understand how this budget amendment allows you to complete the deliverables that you've been approved, the better chance you have at getting that approved immediately and being able to amend your budget as soon as possible. So here I'll say I was only to hire 2.5 peers. So I would like to add 40,000 to media campaign for more radio spots. And I'll copy this just in case I want to add a portion of it to the other line item. So my media is here. So let's say I wanted to make this $45,000. Oh no, sorry. I wanted to make this $90,000. Okay, it's not working. My test environment is not working the way I thought it would. That's okay, that already happened. So $45,000, I'm adding an additional $20,000 to this line item. So again, I'm going to put here, adding more radio spots to GPB media contract due to hiring 2.5 peers rather than 3. Submit. This is all I want to do. You'll see that my total budget is less than my approved budget, so I am not able to submit this. So I need to add another 20,000. Oh, sorry, I did this wrong, I guess. I did my math wrong. I need to add another $20,000 to a line item. I meant to add that here. I did my math wrong. I wasn't able to get it approved. That's why that text was in red. Now they match. You see both is in black. We're going to push submit. And if this was working, oh, it's filtered. Now we'll see in our filters, it's in this submitted stage. Our programmatic officer has the autonomy to approve, deny this, or ask for more information. If I did ever start a budget amendment and wanted to go back and finish it later, it will be here in these in progress budget amendments. I will simply press this little caret and press amend budget and finish that amendment. So for payment requests, so we'll see here, I have 2 in draft. Again, that means I started these, but I did not finish them. My filters will exist here. If I want to create a new budget amendment, I will press create, or a new payment request, I will press create. Again, select that project, the start and end date. Let's assume that I'm on monthly, so I'm putting in 1 month worth of expenditures. And in a perfect world, my line items would show up here. Let's see if my budget line items will show up. Oh, they will. Great. Okay. So I'm selecting the budget line item I want to receive reimbursement for. We're going to start with program project staff. I have $200,000. And I would like reimbursement for 10,000 of that within the first month. So I'm selecting create after I've put the amount in manually. This will generate this page. Again, this is for that specific line item. It will say supporting documentation. This is where you'll upload all of those proof of payments to equal that $10,000 that you're wishing to receive reimbursement for. So you'll press create. You'll select the document type. I'm doing a payroll register in theory, a description if needed. If anything on here doesn't quite make sense or is not straightforward, if you're sending me an entire payroll register with all information, but you're only billing some of these individuals to the trust, this is where that information should be added. We go to choose files, upload that information. I'll just pick something random and submit.
The center's DHDD.
And then once you are done with this line item, you can submit more proof of payment for one line item if needed. But if you've submitted all of your needed supporting documentation, you can press submit. And you should repeat this step for every single line item that you wish to receive reimbursement for. So if I was wanted some reimbursement for a media campaign, I would have to repeat that step in totality. Again, pressing create, adding my supporting documentation. I'm just going through this quickly. And let's say I'm just submitting for these 2 line items for this time. We'll press submit request, proceed. And this is our final invoice form. Once that has been approved, this will change to approved. It will tell us the amount that's been paid once that has been paid, if it has been adjusted, or if there has been any rejections or cancellation, and when those have been completed. So finally, we'll go to project reports. This was not working later. Okay, so this is still not quite working. So you'll see here, here's all of our project reports. I have a 2-year contract, so I will have 8 of these different project reports. You are able to enter information onto these project reports when they fall into the draft status. If they are in pre-reporting, they are locked. You are not able to enter data into them yet. So you'll see all of mine are in pre-reporting, so I can't necessarily show you what this will look like, but theoretically, if it was in the draft status, I would press this little caret and it would say edit, and then I could input all the information into that project report and press submit, very similarly as we did to the payment requests. Again, it will have those questions I deferred to later, these 9 questions, your subjects, category, individual questions, and then your milestones dependent on your deliverables. But that is the GMS system. I'm now going to turn it back to Ira, or not back, but I'm going to turn it to Ira for our very last slide.
All right, hi everybody. This is just a very, very short, basic conversation about site visits. Site visits are conducted annually. Usually it is one site visit a year. They will contain, I mean, all the site visits are going to be different based on your program. However, the basic things that we'll do: facility tour, interviews with staff, interviews with clients, and we'll look at your deliverables progress and your line items progress. And one other thing I wanted to add is that this whole site visit thing will start with me reaching out to you and giving you 3 or 4 potential dates. I'll give you, usually I give 3 to 4 weeks notice before I come out. And you can look at those dates and give me your best one. If none of those worked, you can let me know and we'll figure out something that works for both of us. But that's pretty much all it is.
Thank you, Ira. And now, do we have any questions? I am going to stop sharing so I can see if we have questions.
So Taylor, we had a question from Beverly. She asked, is the recovery project subcategory the same as the addiction recovery support center subcategory in attachment 1?
Yes. Cool. And do we have any other questions?
I have a question. How do you know who your program manager is?
They should have reached, if they have not already reached out, they should today, by the end of the day, reach out and introduce themselves. And if they don't, you can email me and I will tell you who they are and I'll introduce you.
Thank you.
Heather?
Hello. So this may be way out there, but we applied for several categories and we were awarded only 2 categories. If we
Okay.
can see that there's going to be an abundance of money that we're not going to be able to spend, would that warrant a conversation with our program manager to maybe send it to one of the line items not approved, or is that just completely off the table?
If the line item is not approved, it is off the table. If we do
Okay.
need to have a larger conversation about how to spend funds as a direct result of that not being approved, we can have a meeting and discuss that.
Okay, and hopefully that won't be the case, but I just thought I'd
Sure.
ask. Thank you so much.
Understood. Sorry about that. Beverly, do you have another question? Oh, no. Okay. Is there any other questions? Okay, going once, going twice.
I did. Hi. Sorry, my
Hello.
name's Amanda Holloway. I was just curious if the slides are going to be available for us to refer back to at some point.
Yes, the slides are
Okay.
going to be made available. We're going to send you a recording of this webinar. We're also going to send you individual videos that go through the process of budget amendments, reporting, and reimbursements.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, if we don't have any other questions, I can give you a half hour of your day back. Again, as I said, we will be sending you some resources after this. But thank you so much for coming. We're really honored to work with you all. Please
I'm
reach out if you
sorry.
do have. Nope.
We do get a
Don't
copy
be-
of the slides, correct? This presentation, you gonna email
Yep.
it out?
Yep, slides, recording, and then I'll send also some more formalized videos that go through the process of the budget amendments, reporting, and payment requests. So you'll have all that information. All right. Thank you so much, you guys. Feel free to leave if you'd like to leave. If you'd like to stay and ask any questions, we'll be here for the next couple minutes.
I just want to say thank you. This is Kathy.
Hi, Kathy.
It's good
Thank
to
you for
see-
coming.
Yes, and it was very good information. Thank you so much. We look forward to working on this project with y'all. It's exciting.
Yes, it is exciting. Oh, do we have more questions? Molly, did you have a question?
I do have a question. It's kind of specific to our program though, so I just wanted
Okay,
to
that's
like
okay.
frequently. So I noticed in the site visit PowerPoint they mentioned client interviews. We do in-home therapy with families, so we're not really seeing clients at the office
Mhm.
regularly. Will that be okay? Like,
Yeah, that's okay. Site visits are very kind of dependent to the organization. So,
okay.
for example, me and Ira made these slides, and Ira is very familiar with the ARSCs, and that's a very common organization where you might sit down and talk with a client and ask their experience about coming to this organization quite frequently. It's very dependent on the organization, how the site visits go, and what type of information that they'll request.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Just wanted to make sure.
Nicole,
Thank you guys.
thank you.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Mhm.
Okay, cool. Thank you for all of the information. I have a question in reference to the staff.
Mhm.
Our grant, we specified roles like, for example, certified addiction counselor. What I'm finding though is a little bit more challenging to find someone with those credentials right now in our market. Would it be appropriate to amend it to maybe a peer specialist or someone like one of our requests was for a van. So, I never included a driver. So is there an opportunity to modify the actual job titles, even though we would still be onboarding people to work with Midway on payroll?
So, how long has the job been posted?
Well, officially on a platform, it has not been. It's
Okay.
been working in my network.
Okay. So I will say there will be an opportunity for no-cost extensions if you are having some issues with initial onboarding. That's pretty common that people have issues hiring staff and need to extend their contract. For the first no-cost extension, we did 9 months for for 1-year projects. I cannot guarantee it will be that duration again. So if you'd like to wait a few more months since it's been posted, you have the autonomy to do so, and you will have the opportunity for a no-cost extension. And then if you want to talk about maybe restructuring, we could do that. However, if you do not want to wait, I'm going to put my email in the chat. Email me that, because that's is a bit a little bit of a deliverable change going from a clinical person to a non-clinical person, and we can discuss that potential change. But it's up to you, really. If you want to post it, wait a little bit, see how it goes, apply for a no-cost extension if possible, or if you'd like to simply see if you can get that approved now. But if you wouldn't mind sending me an email, dependent on your decision, and we can go from there.
Okay, perfect. And then I have one more question in reference to the media. I know some of it requires approval. I'm not really clear on which aspect, and I'll just give you what our intent is. Our intent is to provide information of the expansion of our program. And so there's not a prevention campaign, rather than more of we're able to extend our services to Region 6 where we were just specific to our county.
Melissa, my feeling is that wouldn't fall necessarily into the lines of media campaigns, and probably would not require additional approval. Melissa, do you have different insight? I lost Melissa. Her internet sounds always super stable. Okay. I'm not sure Melissa's here. I don't believe that that's going to require approval. Generally, what we're thinking is like commercials or like things that are like going onto the public. If you're using our logo, I mean, it would be helpful to always see any creative or any sort of written documentation or educational pieces that you are sending out to the public, just so we can do a one-over, make sure the language is good, make sure if you're using our logo, it's where it's supposed to be, it's the right size, it's the right color. You can send that to your programmatic officer really quickly, and just get some very quick approvals. If it is something that's going to be going out pretty widely, we probably want to see that. But if it's going to be more of like an internal document or something you're sending to your current stakeholders to just describe your expansion, that probably wouldn't fall under a media campaign that you would need approval for.
Okay. Makes sense. And putting the trust logo on there, is that something that you guys welcome, or is it only for specific? Okay.
No, we love it. And I can send you the logo. The programmatic officers all have the logo and our color scheme. If that's something you wanted, we can provide that to you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I do want to do that.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, we definitely welcome that. We love people to know of the partnerships that we're creating.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yes. Miss Stevens, I am afraid I'm not going to say your name right.
It's Keela.
Hi, Keela.
I had another question. This was Paula. But I was curious as to know, do we have to put the logo? What all do we have to include this logo on? Is it, any materials that we print, anything that we have to do with that's anything that this?
It's more for like
This grant
outward
is
facing
funded.
media. So
Okay.
if like you were doing
Events,
tabling,
things like that.
yeah, like if you were doing tabling and you had like some pamphlets on there where you were educating people about like HIV or something, we would appreciate our logo being on that as a partner. Anything that you are really giving out to the public in a mass sense, if that makes sense. But if it's internal documentation, it doesn't necessarily need, like the other day, we had someone put like a sign out front of their new facility to be like, here's where the new facility is. We don't need you to put our logo on that. If you want to, go right ahead. But things like that, we're talking more about like mass media that you're sending out for educational purposes, for conferences, for events, things of that nature. Or like radio, commercials, very like literal, traditional media as well.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Kathy?
Just had a comment that I wanted to share with Nicole, and make sure that she had a good contact at the Georgia Council for Recovery. The Georgia Council is graduating. They really upped their game on graduating about 22 cares per month. And so it's just been, I have been able to hire about, not me personally, 3, but in our network, probably 6. And then we have need with this growth in our IOP expansion. We have another, even a workshop here in Toccoa, Georgia, to get people trained to apply for the CARES workshop. Because that's sometimes a barrier and it's a little bit complex, but I was just gonna say, I'd be happy to share with you my contact at Georgia Council for Recovery, because I've seen people relocating, certified peers under the CARES program. I've seen them relocate to other places in Georgia because it's a really good opportunity for them to go, and sometimes they get their certification from other areas and they can't find a job and they're looking to work in that field. So just let me know, and I'll be happy to send you any information.
I appreciate that. I'm actually a CARES, just for clarity, it's for a certified addictions counselor is the position that I was referring to.
Well, I
But
see,
thank you.
Do you know Donna Ritter, Nicole?
I'm sorry?
Do you know Donna Ritter, the president?
Of GACA?
Yeah.
No, I'm ICNRC, so I connect more with the other group, but I can
Oh.
reach out.
I can introduce you to if you want.
Okay, that would be great.
Up to you. Okay, cool. I muted myself. Okay, any other questions before we end for today? All right, cool, guys. Thank you so much for being here. These are really great questions.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye-bye.